Update on Costa Rica declares migration crisis a national emergency declared on October 4, 2003. When 320,110 migrants crossed the Paso Canoas border this year, it presented an uncontrollable disaster for Costa Rica. President Chaves said the migrants had no respect for Costa Rica law enforcement. On October 7, 2023, making 200 buses available to migrants to transport them from Costa Rica's side of the border with Panama to the Nicaragua border so they can continue on their way to the United States, is the agreement signed by President Rodrigo Chaves and his Panamanian counterpart, Laurentino Cortizo. This action took the pressure off Costa Rica and increased it on the Texas border. This is not a humanitarian migration. This is a planned U.S. government weaponized migration to destroy America. Be aware that can come back to threaten all the citizens and expats living in Costa Rica.
In the gap and the Darien Gap. And actually, at the instantaneous rate of bus flow from Darien Gap is about 30 to 40 bus loads per day. That's increasing. But there are hundreds that are coming through when you start adding up, for instance, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico. For instance, we have many of the migrants who are flying to places like Cancun first. So they'll fly to Cancun or Tapachula in Mexico or Mexico City, and then they will jump on their buses from there, or even trains, actually on the roof of some trains. So anyway, I spend a lot of time on the Mexican border with Arizona and the United States, and also over in Morocco, watching the same thing between Greece and Turkey, Lithuania. I watch it all over Europe. And so the weaponized migration is something I study in great detail. And this hop that causes it, hop is the human osmotic pressure, the push and pull of migration. But right now we have about 200 per day Chinese coming through the Darien Gap alone. That does not include ones who are coming through Bahamas, the ones who are coming through, for instance, Canada is a lot. Others are just getting visas and landing at, say, Atlanta Airport, right? So there's a lot that are coming through the northern route. They fly to, like I said, Mexico first and that sort of thing. There's many different routes to get people into the United States. But the bottom line is this is a weaponized migration.
A weaponized migration. And this is happening not just in the United States, but it's happening all throughout Europe. It's happening on a number of places. So this isn't just happening in the United States. It's important for us as people of the world to understand what's happening to the United States and how it's being weaponized.
Well, they're weaponizing people against people.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're
awful.
doing. Yes, it's exactly what. The United States is the largest trafficker of children in the world. Children that are illegally kidnapped, brought across the U.S.-Mexico border, are then sold off to mostly wealthy Americans, used as sex slaves, and worse, if you can imagine, worse than that. It's happening, and the corporate media, of course, is largely ignoring the story for whatever reason. They refuse to touch the story, and when they do, they briefly touch it, and then it disappears. You can't find links on their website. It vanishes very mysteriously when they cover these stories. Many of these kids, these children, are kept in hidden concentration camps in the United States. Yes, I said it. Hidden concentration camps in the United States. We showed you one of these facilities a few months ago here on Redacted, a Walmart facility, a former Walmart facility in Brownsville, Texas, that is holding hundreds, if not thousands of children before they are sold off. A whistleblower who worked at one of these facilities, MVM is the name of the facility, has come forward to...
You don't care about what's happening at the Colonial. You don't care that these kids are in warehouses, for instance, in Brownsville, Texas, at the old Walmart Supercenter, which is right downtown, right? I mean, it's right in front of everybody. It's not hidden. These aren't things like in the Darien Gap where it's, kind of, you have to take my word for it, or you have to go down there yourself. You can go to Brownsville. If you're in Brownsville watching this, drive on over and try to go to the front door. See how far you get, right? Look at the full parking lot at Brownsville at that old Supercenter. It's right across from McDonald's. Those kids don't get out and see the light of day much. Just wait there all day. See how many kids come out. They're stuck in that Supercenter. These children, they are being escorted by people out of these supercenters to places like Orlando, Florida, and Jacksonville, Florida. They're flown out often at nighttime, sometimes on United flights, on normal flights. United. That's right, United. United, the one that breaks guitars. They are flying these children, right? And they're flying them knowingly. They're knowingly doing it, right? Now, they can sue me. They got billions. I get it. Do it. please, because that'll make this even bigger, because I will be able to demonstrate it with all the videos and all the proof and all the statements from your own employees, right? You knowingly are transporting these children from places like McAllen and Harlingen over to Jacksonville and over to Orlando and other places, right? And they're being transported also at nighttime on charter flights, right? They are being flown out from many places, and the escorts are often 19, 20, 21 years old. To be an escort for these children, you have to be at least 19 and get a GED. This is told. And they're flying them knowingly. They're knowingly doing it, right? Now, they can sue me. They got billions. I get it. Do it, please, because that'll make this even bigger, because I will be able to demonstrate it with all the videos and all the proof and all the statements from your own employees, right? You knowingly are transporting these children from places like McAllen and Harlingen over to Jacksonville and over to Orlando and other places, right? And they're being transported also at nighttime on charter flights, right? They are being flown out from many places, and the escorts are often 19, 20, 21 years old. To be an escort for these children, you have to be at least 19 and get a GED. This is told to us by insiders, right? Which I can introduce to you, and you can get them on your show. This is very interesting. We have addresses. We have over 8,600 addresses. Some of those addresses are near me here in Austin, right? In Austin, Texas. Others are in Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa, all over the place. That's just from a 4-month period from one facility. We have over 8,600, right? That's unbelievable. So these escorts take these children out of the facilities, one escort for 5 children. If they're escorting 10 children, it'll be 2 escorts, we're told by the witnesses. And often they are only like 19 or 20-year-old escorts, escorting like, 15-year-old girls. I mean, that sort of thing, right? And it'll be actually male escorts with female and male children, right? So sometimes they get, according to the witnesses, they get held over because a flight's canceled or whatever, and it's not a direct flight. They have to stay in a hotel. So the escort is told he's got to sleep on the couch while the children sleep in the bed. So, yeah, how's that going to play out? Then often these children are picked up at baggage claim at places like Orlando International Airport, or they're picked up at Jacksonville at baggage claim by people who are sometimes drunk. They're often, and the other escorts who are old enough to rent cars, those are the ones who are used to rent cars and drop them off at homes, often at affluent homes, at hotels. We've been watching one of the places here in Austin. Somebody's been watching it for us since we got that address. It's very interesting, right? I mean, that's not a hotel that they're watching. It's another, anyway, it's an apartment building. But the point is these things are all over the place, right? And so who are these people that are accepting these children? I asked one of the witnesses, what happens when do you ever lose a child? And he said, yes, sometimes a child, not very often, but sometimes we just lose a child. I'm like, how do you get all these kids to the airport without, thousands and thousands of kids? You must lose one now and then. He said, yeah, and not often, but sometimes they get lost and you'll get fired for that. I'm like, fired? I mean, nobody knows who these kids are. I mean, they're coming in from over the border. Both witnesses that we've interviewed most recently.
Whoa, how very terrible is this place? And these men said to me, this place, O Enoch, is prepared for those who dishonor God, who on earth practice sin against nature, which is child corruption after the sodomitic fashion, magic making, enchantment, and devilish witchcraft, and who boast of their wicked deeds, stealing, lies, calumnies, envy, rancor, fornication, murder, and who accursed steal the souls of men, who seeing the poor take away their goods and themselves wax rich, injuring them for other men's goods, who being able to satisfy the empty made the hungering to die, being able to clothe, strip the naked, and who knew not their Creator and bowed down to soulless, lifelessness, gods who cannot see nor hear, vain gods who also built human images and bowed down to unclean handiwork. For all of these is prepared for this place amongst these for eternal inheritance.